Hey guys, this is Sir Michael Rivera at Read On. This biography here, I think, was one of the more heartbreaking ones that I've read in some time. Sweetness, The Enigmatic Life of Walter Payton by Jeff Pearlman. When it came out, it got a lot of controversy. Namely, a lot of people felt that it was inappropriate for Jeff Pearlman to wait this long and uh, and tell the story of Payton. I personally, I don't know how I feel about that because sometimes when you have a labor of love such as a biography, you have to just let it just kind of gestate for a little bit, before bringing it out to the world. And not only that, I think that what's not being said about this biography is that it's a very warm and sensitive biography as well. You get a full scope of Walter Payton, and I think that when I read a biography, whoever it is, I want to get a full scope of that person. I just don't want to know the sugar coated stuff. I want to know the dark stuff and the good stuff as well, because I want to get a bit of the essence of the person. So I think that in this, Jeff Pearlman did a great job. You know, um, Walter Payton was definitely a complex guy. He was, for example, a prankster. He would be the biggest prankster of all the Chicago Bears. During interviews, he would go down and pull the pants of his teammates. um, but yet, at times, he would be very moody, very, very moody, very depressive. He had a troubled relationship with his wife, with Connie. In fact, I never even knew this until I read this book. That was really just a marriage of convenience. There for the most part was no love there. Well, I might be going a little too far, but it was a marriage of convenience. It was not a marriage where we go out, we love each other, and all that. He in fact had another woman in his life. Well, he had several women in his life, but towards the end there was just mostly one woman in his life. He actually had a son with her. His name is Nigel, which Walter Payton absolutely refused to meet. He refused to meet Nigel. I believe he did set up a trust fund in Nigel's name, but he actually never met Nigel. You know, um, so I think that was really an interesting part of this book. Towards the end of his life, he was addicted to nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas, I believe is the common term. He had tanks of it in his garage. Very suicidal. And this is the same kid. This is the same guy that would donate money to charities, to children's charities, without thinking about it. I mean, he was one of the great athletes of our time. You know, um, One of the when it came to kids, he was great with kids, but there was a dark side. There definitely was a dark side to Walter Payton. And I think that that's fine because there's a dark side, I think, to everybody. So when you take a biography like this, or when you take the subject of a man's life, sometimes you got to take in the good and the bad. And I thought this book was really good. Uh, Towards the end of his life, when he was diagnosed with his illness that eventually took his life, that was very tough on him too. And at the very beginning, he was always a fighter, so he had this mindset that, it's not real, it's not real, I'm gonna fight this. But eventually it became clear that, he was not gonna win that fight. So like I said, it's a great read because you get that human aspect of who he was, and then you get that tragic aspect as well. I do want to make a clarification because I said in my blog that since this book has come out, a lot of people have come forward and have uh, just agreed to the correctness of this book. I don't know if a lot of people have come forward. Two very important people in Walter Payton's life did come forward and say, yes, this is mostly true. One of which was his agent, his longtime agent, came forward and said that this indeed was a very accurate biography. I think that most people who really knew Walter Payton don't deny the facts in this book. What they really take issue with is that Perlman waited as long as he did to write this story. I think that they felt that if he was going to do it, he should have done it um, shortly after Walter Payton had died. And again, like I said, sometimes you have to let a work gestate for a little bit, and who knows, maybe this took several years to write, but I actually have an opposite view of that. I think that sometimes you want to wait a little bit. You don't want to just right after somebody dies come out with a biography like that, because in many ways it tarnishes the memory, and as soon as somebody dies, it's still like a very sensitive topic. I think sometimes you have to just let it wait a little bit before you come forward with a book like this. But like I said, I think this book was very fair um, to the legacy of Walter Payton, and for that, I would recommend it to anybody. So keep staying tuned to Read On with Sir Michael Rivera.